afternoon. Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon, sir.
कैसी रही आप सभी की होली?
So,
Good afternoon. How was your holy
It
celebration?
was good.
It was good, or it was great? Not great.
Sir, India was a festival, means there are many festivals, so it was great, sir.
अच्छा, ठीक 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 है. चलो, तो uh, hmm. So in the last class, what I was teaching you was basically the parliament, okay, the structure of parliament. All right. So in this class, we will be like continuing from the previous class. So I left with the Lok Sabha. All right. So I left where? Yeah. So I was telling that in Lok Sabha there are total 543 members. All right. Now from this 543 members, what happens is whichsoever political party or alliance, or which we call as coalition. So the thing is that whichsoever political party or the coalition secures at least one seat more than the total 50% margin, which is kitna hua? It stands to be somewhere around 272. So either one single party or more than like 50% plus one party, that is 272. So if any party or coalition secures this much margin, so that will form the government. What is the meaning of the government? Government means from this political party will come the prime minister, and this prime minister will choose his council of minister. And in comprehensive term, I would refer, yeah, we refer to this body as the executive. All right. So there are some confusions in the mind of the students who are basically the beginners. The executive they think is the police. No, but that's not correct. The police is not the executive. So what executive stands for? So executive is basically the council of minister headed by the prime minister. All right. So now what is the major function of this executive? So the major function of this executive is basically, I will just tell you now. So what's the major function of this executive? They implement the policies. Okay, they implement the laws, all right, made by the parliament. In what way do they implement? They implement, for example, the for any act. Okay, for example, there is any law. Okay, like let's say for the making of X medical college. Okay, now there is a law for making of X medical college in, let's say, Pune district of Maharashtra. All right. Now this, because this will require money and so many regulatory things that has to be taken into consideration, so every technicality will be mentioned in the law. This law will be basically passed by the lawmaking body. Okay, because health is a state subject. So or maybe this is a central medical college, so this law has to be passed by parliament. Okay, first it will come to either Lok Sabha or Rajya Sabha, then it will go to either Rajya Sabha or Lok Sabha. After being passed from both the houses, this will go to the president. The president will give assent to this, and this will then become a law. Initially it was a bill, now it becomes a law. Okay, so what was the task of the lawmaking body, legislature, in this? It was to basically pass this bill. Now what happens, this bill, because has now will be referred to as law, Now who will take care about ki, who will give contract to which body, to who will basically take care of the land allocation, land acquisition, who will take care about the basically making of the structure, who will take care about the making of the rules and regulations for running that college. Okay, you will say that medical council is there. Now who will basically take care about the construction or basically the allocations of the fund to the different agencies or the companies to execute this project? Now who will take care about the execution of this law?
Sir,
So yes.
so the one question, sir, after passing from Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha, it depends upon the will of president that he have to sign or he has to sign.
No, it doesn't depends on the will of the president. The president actually acts on the aid and advice. Yes, the president can do one thing on his will. So there are multiple dimensions to this. For example, it is just a very simple bill. So for a simple bill, what will happen? For a simple bill, the president can send it back to the parliament for basically reconsideration. Okay. Now this thing the president can do. The president will have to sign it, or basically there is also something called as pocket veto. The president can even veto this, but will for vetoing this also he will have to act in accordance to the aid and advice given by the council of minister. Okay, but yes, one thing he can do is basically called as pocket veto. Okay, pocket veto is because there is no timeline that is mentioned in the constitution, like in what time frame he will have to provide signatures to that. So because of no not mentioning the timeline, the president on his will can keep it there in, like bola jata hai, it is said ki he can keep it in the pocket. Okay, and the pocket of president of India is very wide. Okay, because even if he will not sign the bill for let's say 2 years, nothing will happen. Okay, so yes, he can veto, but also the veto power is exercised on the aid and advice of the council of minister headed by the prime minister. All right. So and in case of money bill, he cannot even veto that. Okay, so ye cheeze hoti hai because the money bill is introduced in the parliament on the prior recommendation of the president. So that happens. Okay, so these are something that you will study in detail in your polity classes. All right. So now coming on to this.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so now this implementing task of this particular bill will be done by the ministries, the concerned ministry, maybe the health ministry. Okay, now it is on the health ministry to basically implement this. So that is why it is said that all the laws whatever are made by the parliament, so they are basically implemented executed by the executive body. Okay, that comprises of the prime minister at the central level and the council of minister, and at the state level there is chief minister including his council of ministers. All right, that is called as executive. All right, so in India the executive is a part of parliament. Okay, it's a part of legislature. Okay, in India first a person is the member of the lawmaking body, then he becomes the member of executive. Okay, so first the prime minister of India Narendra Modi is not elected as the prime minister. He is basically elected as the member of the constituent assembly. Okay, and Varanasi. Okay, constituent assembly of Varanasi. Then after getting elected as the member of the constituent assembly of Varanasi, because his party or basically the coalition has secured the majority mark, he then is selected as the, or basically I would say appointed as the prime minister of the country. All right, any problem, any doubt in this? Please do respond if any problem is there.
No, sir.
Okay.
Sir, one doubt.
Yes, tell me.
Sir, you said that after being elected from Constituent Assembly, so on the suggestion of Council of Ministers, then is going to be PM or
No, no,
any.
no. On not on the suggestion of the Council of Minister, because Council of Minister is in itself appointed by the Prime Minister. Okay, the Council of Minister is not an independent body. It is basically the Prime Minister is the head of the Council of Minister. He gives the name to the President to appoint them as the Council of Minister. Okay, so he is basically appointed. So whosoever is the leader of the majority party or coalition. Okay, so whosoever is nominated by the party or the coalition as the prime minister will be elected as the, or appointed as the prime minister. Okay, so that happens. All right.
Okay, sir. Now I'm clear.
Okay, all right, good. So, why do we need parliament? So, why is parliament required? So, parliament is considered to be as the highest deliberative body. Okay, for the all the democratic processes that goes on in the country. So, the apex body at the central level is the parliament. Okay, so parliament is the center of all the democratic political processes that goes on in the country. So, a genuine democracy cannot exist without representative, because what happens, there are many people in the country, there are crores of people in the country, and basically what happens is, uh, because there are many people, the people don't even have expertise, everyone don't have expertise to basically take part in the political processes of the country. And basically it is impractical for everyone to come out of their home and basically take the decisions for the entire country. Okay, this is impractical. So what is done is, the entire country is divided into several electoral constituencies, and from every constituency one person is elected as the basically representative of that constituency. So that is why in India, because in Lok Sabha, let's say, the people who are sitting in Lok Sabha are the representatives of all the various parts of the country. Okay, and those parts are in legal terms called as the electoral constituencies. Okay, so because though they are the representative of the entire parts of all the parts of the country, so that is why the democratic or the democracy that goes on in our country is called as representative democracy. Okay, so if there has to be a genuine representative democracy, so there has to be a body where all those representatives will be represented. So that genuine body is called as legislature. Okay, at the central level called as parliament, having two houses, Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha, lower house and upper house. And at the state level there has to be, basically either there can be two houses, bicameralism. Okay, SLA, SLC, state legislative assembly, state legislative council, or there can only be one. Okay, except six states there are by a unicameralism only. Okay, at the state level, that is basically the existence of only one house called as state legislative assembly. Okay, so if there has to be genuine democratic processes, so the will of the people is represented through their representatives. Okay, one of the most important role of parliament is basically to hold the government accountable. Okay, so what is the role of parliament? Because in India what happens, see, let's suppose there is Narendra Modi, and Narendra Modi has basically created his council of ministers. Now there are multiple ministers. Okay, minister of defense, minister of foreign affairs, minister of XYZ, बहुत सारे ministers हैं, there are multiple ministers. Now whatever the ministers are doing, now who will ask them questions? How will they be held accountable for whatever they are doing? So parliament is a body where, because those ministers sit as a member of the parliament, so there the opposition party can hold them accountable. Let's say we basically passed a bill called as X medical college bill. Now what's the progress in this? Tell the union minister, union health minister, what's the progress in this? Have you already started the construction work of the college or not? Have you already did this work or not? Let's say the minister of women will be asked the question, minister of women and child welfare, so she will be or he will be asked the question that what are the steps you are taking for the safety of the women. So the parliament acts as a body where the executive, who is actually working for the day to day functioning of the country, they can be held accountable, they can be asked question, the opposition party can raise questions. Okay, on those who are sitting inside the parliament. All right, getting the point? So that is basically a way of how to hold the representatives accountable for whatever they do. Okay, so that's the thing. All right. Now, in many democracies, including India, the executive, or what we call cabinet, they appears to be very powerful. Okay, so sometimes the cabinet also becomes very powerful, and a strong leader must face the parliament and justify the decision. What a strong leader has to do, they basically, when they enter inside the parliament in every session, normally there are three sessions in the of the parliament in a year. So in every session, the minister who is responsible for their particular department or ministry, they will have to answer to the questions that are being asked from them by the members, by the opposition members. All right. So that's the thing is done. Why do we need two houses of parliament? What's the requirement of the two houses? Why two houses are required? So basically there are two houses. One is Rajya Sabha and another one is Lok Sabha, the Council of States and House of People. I already told you that why is it called as the Council of States. Basically what happens is, in the schedule of the Indian Constitution itself, the total seats that are allocated, so from the total 238 elected seats of Rajya Sabha, what happens is every state is given a quota. Okay, let's say any particular state is given a quota of 10 representative, 10 seats in Rajya Sabha. So from that entire state, from any region, those 10 members can be elected as the member of Rajya Sabha. So let's say those 10 members are elected from multiple places in Rajya Sabha. Now, because they do not belong to a particular part of a state, they belong to the entire state. So they represent the interest of every state, not a basically particular part of a state. So that's why, because the member elected in the house of the Council of States, the Rajya Sabha, because they represent the interest of the entire state, that's why this particular body is considered to be as the Council of States. Getting the point? So this is Council of States. All right.
Sir,
So now, yes,
sir, who is going to select those 10
will
people
tell,
or
will
12
tell, will
people?
tell, will tell, will tell. है ना? There is a different
Yes.
electoral college for that. Okay, so electoral college in detail will be studied, although in the polity classes. But to give you a very basic information, so what happens in the state? There are already the elected members. Okay, there are already the members of the in state legislative council, state legislative assembly, MLCs. Okay, so local level bodies, they also have so many elected members. Okay, they basically cast vote for the member of Rajya Sabha. All right, so already elected people, so they are basically elected by using a method of proportional representation by means of single transferable vote. This is a system, okay, name of a system, and the method is indirect elections. Okay, so this happens at the state level for the members of Rajya Sabha. All right, coming on to Lok Sabha, so because the members of Lok Sabha belongs to particular electoral constituencies. Okay, let's say in the entire state there are many electoral constituency. The highest electoral constituencies are there in Uttar Pradesh. So what happens, because from a entire state, the member of legislative, sorry, the member of Lok Sabha comes from particular region which is called as electoral constituency. So because they belong to that electoral constituency, they reflect the interest of that electoral constituency. All right, they reflect the interest of that constituency. So that is the main reason why that particular member is considered to be as the representative of people. All right, so that's the thing. Now coming on to the main point, next point, that is the constitution allows state, yes, so the states can either have unicameralism or can have bicameralism. Okay, so that's a different thing. Unicameralism means the existence of only one house in the state. Okay, that is state legislative assembly, or in the 6 states there are bicameralism also. Okay, if some states are very diverse in nature, having a very large population, so that sometimes necessitates the creation of the second house also. Okay, to act as a house for checks and balances. All right, so that's basically important in some state where the second house is already being created, and where it is not at all required to basically avoid unnecessary administrative hurdles or administrative barriers or expenditures on the exchequer. So basically only one house is maintained in those states. All right, so a major advantage of bicameralism, why, what are the major advantages of basically having two houses? So one can be that some sort of decisions can be basically taken in haste. Okay, there is a possibility that some decisions can be taken in hurry. Okay, so in that case what happens is, in that case basically these houses sometime there are two houses. So from, if any particular decision is taken in haste from one house, the other house can give a check and balance on that that, they can basically stop that particular thing, or vice versa can also happen. All right. So allows reconsideration and detailed discussion. So this thing also happens that from, like, suppose a bill has to be passed and there is only one house, so the bill will be passed from that one particular house. But if there are two houses, the bill will be discussed and debated in those two houses. That will basically prevent the disruption. Okay, that will basically allow to regulate, to recheck the bill. Okay, to basically augment the discussions that happens in the assembly. Okay, so it also checks as an check on error and misuse of power. Okay, talking
Sir,
specifically, yes.
sir, who decides that there will be unicameralism or bicameralism in state?
That is decided by parliament. Okay, parliament decides this. So Rajya Sabha, okay, by a simple ordinary bill. Okay, second house in state can be created or dissolved. Okay, so it requires a simple bill. Okay, that's not at all very difficult to be made. Okay, now coming on to Rajya Sabha. So Rajya Sabha is the council of states. Okay, so Rajya Sabha is the council of state. What? Why council of state? Because it represents the interest of the states of India. Okay, different states of India, so their interest is basically represented there in Rajya Sabha. Okay, so it is indirectly elected house. Okay, it is not directly elected, as I told you earlier also, because we do not directly give vote for Rajya Sabha. Okay, they are indirectly elected. It is indirect house. Okay, so various elected MLAs, okay, then elect the member of Rajya Sabha. Okay, so two principles are basically followed in the second chamber. Okay, one is equal representation. So every state does not gets equal number of seats as followed in basically USA. Okay, each state is given the number of seats according to their population. So what happens, so basically every, so one principle could have been that there are equal representation, that every state is given equal seat, let's say one seat, irrespective of the population that is it has. But second principle can be the population based representation, where every state is allocated the number of seats according to the population that it has. What happens in India, we have adopted the second system of representation. All right, this second system is adopted in India, and India follows the population based representation. For example, Uttar Pradesh being the largest state in India, okay, population wise, so it sends 31 members to Rajya Sabha. And Sikkim being the small, being having small population, it sends only one member to Rajya Sabha. Okay, so this thing happens. Members of Rajya Sabha are having the term of 6 years, okay, rather than having 5 year term. Okay, it is 6 year. It is a continuous house. Rajya Sabha cannot be dissolved. Okay, it cannot be dissolved. What happens is that this house does not dissolve. So every, what happens every, this is a system of election in Rajya Sabha. Let me tell you, what happens in Rajya Sabha is, like, for example, there is a person A. He got elected in Rajya Sabha in, let's say, 2020. Now, because he is having a tenure of 6 years, he will be retiring from the membership of Rajya Sabha in 2026. Okay, this particular rule of 6 year is very much important to be remembered. Now what happens, let's say there are total 250 members in Rajya Sabha. Okay, out of these total 250 members, 1/3 of the total members retires every, yeah, in every 2 years. Okay, let's say there are 250 members in total. After every 2 years, 1/3 member retires. Okay, let's divide these entire member into three parts. Okay, let's say A is 1/3, B is 1/3, C is 1/3. Okay, A, B, and C. This is a group. Now, what will happen? Let's talk about the retirement time. Let's suppose group A elected in 2020, group B elected in 2022, group C elected in 2024. Okay, 1/3, 1/3, 1/3. Now they will retire in 2026. They will retire in 2028, and they will retire in 2030. All right. So this is particularly a system that is followed in case of Rajya Sabha. Okay. So when they will retire in 2026, so in 2026, just after 2 year, again the election to fill. Now let's imagine this thing. Just understand, like in 2026 this group will retire in 2026. Now the group, so again, now the last election happened in 2024. To fulfill this 1/3 seat, again just after 2 years, in 2026, to fulfill this seat of the member selected in 2020, will again the election will happen. All right, any problem in this? Any confusion here? Tell me.
No, sir. No, sir.
मैसेज में बता सकते हैं आप. यू कैन टेल मी इन मैसेज ऑल्सो if not preferring to talk. Now coming on to this, this is a very important system. Now what happens is, sometime why this house is considered uh, categorized as a continuing house. Why does this house never dissolves? Okay, even if the Lok Sabha is dissolved, this house will stands to be working, because what happens, there are certain urgent matters. Okay, so to deal with those urgent matters, one house has to always being a like to always be a continuous house. Okay, so that's why, to carry out the urgent businesses of the country, okay, to carry out the urgent businesses, this house has to be made the continuing house. All right. Yeah. So now talking about Lok Sabha, okay. So let's talk about Lok Sabha. What happens in Lok Sabha? So Lok Sabha, the people are directly elected. Okay, the entire country is divided into several electoral constituencies. Okay, and from every one electoral constituency, one member has to be elected as the member of Lok Sabha. All right. So the members of Lok Sabha and the state legislative assemblies are elected directly. So for the election, the entire country, as I told you, is divided into several electoral constituencies. Okay, roughly on the basis of population. Okay, in this thing also, I need to teach you one thing. So what happens while the elections, in case of elections of um, Lok Sabha, because in Lok Sabha the total number of seats are 543. Okay, so what happens is, the entire country, okay, the entire country is divided into 545 seats. Okay, as you know this very well. Now it is tried. Okay, so this division of the constituencies into several electoral constituency, is this task is basically called as delimitation. Okay, dividing the constituencies, okay, this is called as delimitation, and this is done by a delimitation commission. All right. So what happens is, like, it is tried its best that every two electoral constituency, okay, that every two electoral constituency must be having roughly the same number of population. Okay, let's say the violet, let's say the green, and let's say the yellow one. So these three, like all the other electoral constituencies, it is maintained that must be having the equal or similar number of people. Okay, now this is a core principle of Indian constitution. How? Because let's say here 10 lakh people live, let's say here also around 10.5 lakh people live, now here 9.9 lakh people live. All right, so from each of these constituencies, one one and one member will be elected to Lok Sabha from each of these three constituencies. So this principle, now understand that by using such method, the value of vote of all these people is one, that means equal, which is according to the democratic principle of one person, one vote, and one value. It is not that just every single person is given one vote, it is also that every single person's vote value is also equal. The value of vote is also equal. All right, that's the basic principle of one person, one vote, one value. Okay, coming on to this point again, so at present there are 543 constituencies, okay, and this number has remained unchanged since the elections of 1971. And which population data will be used by the delimitation commission? According to the constitution, the data that will be used by the election commission will be the data as given by the as provided by the census. Okay, constitution mentioned that this census has to be the preceding census. Let's say the delimitation is done in 2022, they'll have to use the census, the previous census of 2011. Okay, but this data, this census is freezed to 1971. Number of seats in Lok Sabha to every state cannot change like after 1971 census. Okay, there is a issue with regards to this that we'll be discussing in the polity classes. All right, now moving ahead, in the normal term of Lok Sabha is 5 years. However, it can even be dissolved before completion of the term of 5 year. How is that possible? That is possible in case because the minimum requirement is 50% plus one. You know this very well. The party or the coalition that wants to form the government in Lok Sabha will have to gain more than 50% of the seats in Lok Sabha. Now, in case, in any particular case, if no party or coalition can form the government, so that in that case, what will happen? In that case, the Lok Sabha will be dissolved, or basically also the prime minister, if advises the prime minister advises the president to dissolve the Lok Sabha, in that case also the Lok Sabha can be dissolved and re-elections will happen. Okay,
So,
yeah,
what is the 50 plus 1? What does that plus 1 indicate? Could you explain that again?
like when you divide, कितना होता है on calculator, if we divide 5, because the total strength of Lok Sabha is 543. All right, so when we divide 543 by 2, it's 271.5. So because point 0.5 doesn't signifies anything, so o- like one person, one seat more than 50%, one seat more than 50% stands to be
Okay,
272. Okay,
okay,
it
okay,
talks
sir.
about seat. All right.
Got it, sir.
Yeah, so in Lok Sabha there are 543 total seats. Yeah, maximum strength is 550, but because we don't have access to the Jammu and Kashmir, some of the region of Jammu and Kashmir, okay, that is basically called as POK. So we have kept some seats reserved for POK. So that's why the total strength can be 550. But at present we can say that the total strength is 543. All right, so parliament, what parliament do? So what is the function of parliament? So there are multiple functions of parliament. The first function of parliament is the legislative function. All right. So legislative function is basically the law making function. All right. So because the parliament has the task of making the laws, it is called as law making body also. So the cabinet basically decides the content and timing of the important bills. What happens is there are two types of bill. One is the government bill and one is private member bill. Okay, now let's differentiate between these two types of bills. So one is the government bill, one is government bill, one is one is private member bill. All right. Government bill is the bill that is basically introduced by anyone who is a member of council of minister. Majorly even a more smaller body is there in council of minister, that is called as cabinet. Okay, so this cabinet has the responsibility of basically uh, like in case they are the people who majorly brings the bill in the parliament. Okay, now any person other than the council of minister, other than council of minister, but a member of parliament, if brings the bill in parliament, called as private member bill. So in India, majority of the bills that are basically the government bill gets the permission, because if it's a government bill, then it is basically introduced on the recommendation of the government, of the executive, and because the party from which the executive comes is having the majority in the Lok Sabha, so the government member bill has the maximum chances of being passed in the parliament. Okay, in Lok Sabha majorly. So first function of parliament is the legislative function, that is basically to make laws. Okay, it make laws, in simple terms it makes laws. Okay, another function of executive is basically to control over executive and accountability. Okay, legislature, another function of legislature is to control over executive and accountability. So what happens is the legislature, what they can do, they performs a very important function. And the what happens is, like for example, there is any grievance, okay, of the people of the country. Okay, the people of the country want some sort of accountability, they want any sort of answer from the government. Government means the council of minister and the prime minister. Now because the council of minister and the prime minister are the member of Lok Sabha or Rajya Sabha, they'll have to come to attend the sessions of the parliament, it's mandatory. And also it is constitutionally mandatory that if any member of opposition technically sends the question to the speaker or the chairperson of Rajya Sabha or speaker of Lok Sabha and addresses it standing inside the parliament, it is the responsibility of the council of minister, including the prime minister or the government, what we call, they will have to answer to the question that is asked by the opposition member. All right, so it is mandatory that they will have to ask questions, sorry, answer those questions. Getting the point? It's very much mandatory. So they are answerable to the people. Okay, they'll have to answer to the people. All right, so another function that is performed by the parliament is the financial function. So it is basically constitutionally obligatory that not even a single rupees from the government's fund, called as consolidated fund of India, can be withdrawn without the approval of the parliament. So there is a device called as money bill or financial bill, included or mentioned under article 110 of the constitution and 112 of the constitution, that for withdrawing or basically for taxation purposes, or for increasing the, or basically taking out money from the government's exchequer, a particular money bill or financial bill has to be first passed by the parliament, then only that money can be withdrawn from the funds of the government. So also it is the financial function also that is performed by the parliament. Okay. Next is representative function, that is very
Sir,
simple. Yes.
sir, what is the difference between cabinet and council of ministers?
There is a larger body in which several types of ministers are there. For example, one is the cabinet minister, other is minister of state, other is minister of state with independent charge. So these are several ministers. Minister of state is basically not the minister of the states of the country, but for example, there is a very important ministry. Okay, let's say Ministry of Finance or Ministry of Defense. So those ministries are under the control of the cabinet minister. Okay, that's a smaller body. Okay, around 25 30, so like that the ministers are there in the cabinet. Okay, so those are the most important ministers. Now other than that, there are certain some departments or ministries, not departments but ministries, which are not that important. Okay, so they are kept under the control of the ministers of states, or basically ministers of state with independent charge. Okay, so minister of state mostly are like, there is a ministry of defense. Now in the ministry of defense there will be minister, cabinet minister, who is the minister of defense. Okay, now with minister of defense there is one given one minister of state of defense. Okay, so in when the cabinet minister will not be there in the parliament, then the minister of state will take charge of that. Okay, or will carry out the duties basically during the time frame. Okay, when the cabinet minister is not there. Some very smaller ministries are basically kept under the control of minister of state with independent charge. They are not, I would say, obviously they are very important, but the cabinet ministers are more important than the minister of states. Okay, it's even a smaller body inside the council of minister. Okay, that's cabinet. Okay, all right.
Okay, sir.
Yeah. So next is debating function. So what happens for any particular bill, any policy, or any national issue, any public opinion issue, or any kind of issue that comes in the country? So there is basically no restriction on discussion. The particular fixed time frames are allotted in the parliament during the sessions of the parliament, which are basically there for only the discussion or the debate. So that also is done in the parliament. Okay, next is the constituent function. So what is the meaning of constituent function? So parliament also has the power to amend the constitution. Okay, so parliament has the power to amend the constitution, and even a single full stop or any single thing in the constitution can be amended by the parliament only. Okay, in amending certain provision, some permission or basically approval has to be taken from the state assemblies also, but not also from the all the state assemblies, but from only 50% of the states assemblies. Okay, that is according to article 368. Okay, so parliament is the only body that can amend the constitution. Electoral function. Okay, so one is election electoral function. So for example, the election of the president, in the election of the president and the vice president of the country, the member of parliament takes direct participation. Okay, we elect them, then they elect the president and the vice president. So also they performs the work of um, carrying out the elections, or basically participating in the elections to the post of president and vice president of the country. All right, next is the judicial functions. Okay, so there are certain judicial functions also given to the parliament. What happens, they basically do is they performs a sort of judicial action, like basically considering the impeachment of president, okay, considering the removal of vice president or the judges of the Supreme Court or High Court, okay. So because they are, or I would say they are appointed by president, like the other people, like the judges, for example, or the of the Supreme Court and High Court, so they can only be removed by the proper process that is followed by parliament, okay. So parliament can only decide on their removal, okay. So officially termed as impeachment, okay. So this judicial, some sort of judicial power is also there in the hands of the parliament, okay. Now talking about the powers of Rajya Sabha, okay, just give me a second. Yeah, so powers of the Rajya Sabha, okay. So powers of Rajya Sabha is basically, in India, there is a bicameral legislature. Okay, you know this very well. There are two houses. One is Lok Sabha, another one is Rajya Sabha. Okay, so in a bicameral legislature, so these two houses, in some matters, enjoys equal powers, and in some respect, the Lok Sabha enjoys greater power, and in some respect, Rajya Sabha enjoys the greater power. Okay, let me first differentiate between two types of, or let's say three types of bills, okay. uh, you know this, that there is, first of all, it is the bill, okay. You know this, that there is first a bill after being passed by the lawmaking body and getting assent, if it's the central level, then from the president, and at the state level from the governor. After getting assent, it becomes a law, okay. Now this bill is of several types, okay. So the first type of bill is ordinary bill. Next is money bill, finance bill, next is constitutional, constitutional amendment bill, okay. So this is as per article 110, article 112, and article 368. Now for ordinary bill, so for passing an ordinary bill, it is related to the ordinary work of the parliament. For passing ordinary bill, let's say in Lok Sabha or in Rajya Sabha. And one thing is, ordinary bill can either be first passed in Lok Sabha or in Rajya Sabha. Okay, no restriction on that. Then it goes to the second house, and in every house, it just requires 50% votes plus one vote. Okay, of the total members present and voting. Okay, so only thing that is required by this ordinary bill is just 50% plus one vote. Okay, let's say there were in Rajya Sabha, there were 220 members, let's say, present at the time of voting. So out of those 220 members, 50% is 110 members plus 1. So vote of only 111 members is required for passing the ordinary bill in any house of the parliament. Okay. So this is the ordinary bill.
But sir, Sir, you said that every vote is equal, then where this one vote comes from?
Every vote is equal.
Yes, sir. You said every vote is equal, then
Every vote of
50%
every
plus one.
people is equal. Every vote of every person is equal.
Yes, sir.
But this is not, I'm talking not about person, but about the member of parliament of Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha. So how so? I couldn't
Sir,
understand your
then,
question.
sir, then what does it mean? 50% okay plus one extra. From where does this one vote come?
See, let's say लोकसभा इज देयर है ना, लोकसभा है यहाँ. अब लोकसभा में मान लो स्पीकर है, स्पीकर ने इंट्रोड्यूस किया एक बिल. यहाँ पर बहुत सारे लोग हैं. यहाँ पर ऑब्वियस ही बात है कि जो गवर्नमेंट है, जो गवर्नमेंट दैट मीन्स जिस जिस पार्टी, जो एक पार्टी होगी मेजोरिटी में, जिसके 50% से ज्यादा मेंबर्स हैं. मान लो यहाँ पे टोटल हियर टोटल द इन लोकसभा इन द टोटल मेंबर्स आर 543. In 543 there is one majority party or coalition from where, like let's say 300 members are there from one party or coalition. Other member who have who have basically elected from a constituency but are not part of the government, but their party has not secured majority means their party has not secured more than 50% of the seats in Lok Sabha, so their party will be called as opposition. So they are opposition members. Now there are 543 total members, 300 let's say from BJP, and other people are from other parties. BJP, because they got 300 seats, so they form the government. That means from their party comes the prime minister and the council of minister. Now a bill is introduced. Now a bill, ordinary bill, will require just 50% plus one vote. Let's say at that time there were 500 members inside the parliament. So this bill inside the Lok Sabha, this bill to be passed in Lok Sabha will require how much? From 500 250 votes. एक और वोट चाहिए. अगर 250 मेंबर्स यस में वोट कर देते हैं, then that's okay. Are you getting?
Sir, and in what conditions are these seats not filled? Like out of 543, 500
Sorry, sorry.
votes, out of
How?
543, in what under what conditions, or when are these seats not filled?
Seats are not filled. For example, no, it's not about being filled. For example, just before this voting, one member died. Let's say one member died.
Okay.
One member. What happens is one member is not present in the session at that time. He is abroad somewhere. He is on medical leave, maybe.
Okay, okay, got
Uh,
it, sir.
anything.
So one extra vote should be from governing party or anyone else.
So your voice is not coming.
The requirement to form the government is only that there must be that the majority party or the coalition must get more
No,
than
sir,
50%
not
of seats.
government,
सुनो,
but the passing the bill.
एक सेकंड सुनो आशुतोष, एक सेकंड सुनो. For only forming the government, for basically selecting the president, only requirement is that from that particular party 50% plus one seats must be there. But sometimes this thing also happens. Let's say, now giving you just one imagined scenario. So let's say there is one like Lok Sabha of, let's say, 2019. Okay, in 2019 those elections happened. So from in this election 303 seats were directly won by BJP, but BJP including other were basically 15, let's say 15 seats were from others, and this formed a coalition. Okay, this formed a coalition. Now, total, if we total this thing, so 303 plus 15, so 318. So this is more than 272 minimum requirement. So that means BJP coalition, that was NDA coalition, they formed the government. Okay, now just giving you a scenario. Now let's say there is a member X. Okay, there is a member X who is from maybe Samajwadi Party, SP Party, who is elected from, let's say, Ayodhya district or maybe Faizabad district. Let's say he is elected from Ayodhya, but he is not from any of this party. He is not from either BJP nor from others, this coalition. He is not from this NDA coalition. Still, he will secure the seat of Ayodhya in Lok Sabha. So because this person from Samajwadi Party, X person, because he is not basically belonging to the government, because this party, because is having more than 272 seats, will form the government, will, so prime minister and council of ministers will come from this particular coalition and party. Now because this is not a part of the government, this will be called as opposition. Okay, still because he won a particular seat from a electoral constituency, he will sit in Lok Sabha because he is a member of parliament, but not a member of the government, not a member of basically the executive. Okay, now the requirement what I was saying for a ordinary bill, which is 50% plus 1, so of the member present and voting. So let's say the present members are 500. So from this, now from this coalition, from the NDA coalition here, let's say now for passing this bill, the requirement is 50% is 250 plus 1 is equals to 251. Now the requirement is 251. So let's say, imagine a scenario that doesn't happen, but let's say only 250 member from this coalition voted yes. Okay, now this person can also vote, and if votes in yes and 251 happens, then also this bill will be passed. All right, this will happen. So
Okay, sir.
voting means vote of anyone. Now one thing I would like to clear here is a bill which is introduced by this government, a bill which is introduced by this government, always ordinary bill gets passed. Why? Because you know this very well, that because this government is introducing this particular bill, this government enjoys so this government must be having more than 50% of the members in Lok Sabha. This is true, na? So that means in most of the cases this bill will be passed, because in according to the Indian constitution, if a decision is taken by the party, every member of that party will have to follow that decision. Every member of that political party will, if this party, if this coalition decides this, that we will be voting yes in the parliament, then every member of this political party will have to vote yes in the parliament. If individual opinion is that I don't want to basically give yes to this particular bill, it will not be accepted. Every single member of this political party will have to give yes to that particular bill. And this is very natural, because a party that is having majority is having more than 50% of the seats in Lok Sabha, and a ordinary bill requires more than 50% votes in Lok Sabha. So ordinary bill has all the possible chances to get passed in parliament. Are you able to understand this?
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Yeah. Pakka, 100% you understood this? Any other confusion in your mind?
No, sir,
No.
I understood.
Okay. अभी एक काम करना, जस्ट वेट फॉर सम टाइम, ये वाला बस मैं क्लियर कर लूं एक बार, उसके बाद रेज योर हैंड इफ इन बिटवीन ऑल्सो देर इज एनी डाउट. ठीक है, नाउ जस्ट रेज योर हैंड. ओके, तो उसमें रेज करना, देन ओनली आस्क. ओके, अभी जस्ट लेट मी कंप्लीट दिस पर्टिकुलर थिंग. ओके, नाउ अंडरस्टैंड दिस थिंग, दैट फॉर नाउ वी आर कंपेयरिंग ऑल्सो द पावर्स ऑफ लोकसभा एंड राज्यसभा इन दिस रिगार्ड. ओके, वी आर कंपेयरिंग द पावर. So for, yeah, with regards to ordinary bill, Okay, with regards to ordinary bill, both the houses, Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha, are having basically equal powers with regards to this. Okay, talking about money bill, what happens? There is a requirement that a money bill can be introduced in the parliament first on the recommendation of the president. Okay, and only can be introduced in Lok Sabha. Point to be noted here is the parliament, so sorry, the Rajya Sabha has no power to introduce the money bill. Okay, so it can only be introduced in Lok Sabha. All right, so this is basically one very important thing. And with regards to finance bill, so it is not the same. Finance bill is a combination of the money withdrawing factors and basically other legislative matters also. So it is not the same. But here, in case of constitutional amendment bill, a bill that basically amends the constitution and carries provision with related to amending the constitution, so that type of bill can be introduced in any house of parliament. Are ये बात समझ में? So that type of bill can be introduced in either Rajya Sabha and Lok Sabha. Okay, but because finance bill is very similar to the money bill, so in that case, in case of finance bill also, the introductory condition that can only be introduced in Lok Sabha will be followed. Okay, so finance bill ke case mein it will only be introduced in Lok Sabha. In money bill case will be only introduced in Lok Sabha. Constitutional amendment bill can be introduced in both the houses of parliament, and the ordinary bill can be introduced in both the houses of parliament. The thing here is, if ordinary bill is passed by one house of parliament, goes to another house can send it back to the first house for reconsideration. Now the first house can again will send it back to the second house after passing it with the amendment or without the amendment. Now if the second house still doesn't passes the bill, there comes a deadlock. Okay, in deadlock both the houses members comes, joint sitting happens. But in case of constitutional amendment bill, no joint sitting can happen. In case of money bill and finance bill, the Rajya Sabha only has a limited power. Okay, so if Rajya Sabha, like, they have the option to first send it back to the Lok Sabha for reconsideration. Now if Lok Sabha again passes it back to Rajya Sabha, okay, for signing it, they will have to sign it. Rajya Sabha will have to sign it. If they don't sign the money bill or the financial bill within 14 days, then it is automatically considered to be as passed. All right, at this point.
Yes, sir.
All right, so now legislative power. So we are talking about the powers of Rajya Sabha in non-money bill matters. So bills related not to the money bill type of things. So in that thing, the Rajya Sabha has equal power. It can reject the bill, it can reconsider, like send it back for reconsideration, or it can approve it. Okay, with related to the constitutional power, so basically it is related to the amending the constitution. Okay, so to amend the constitution, both the houses enjoys the equal power. Okay, so control over the executive, yes, Rajya Sabha also enjoys the power to basically ask questions from the executive, hold the executive accountable, basically, and the questions that they will ask to the executive will have to answer those questions. Okay, so this thing is mandatory there, asking questions or things like that. Electoral and impeachment powers, so with related to electoral and impeachment power, the related to the elections or impeachment of the president, basically elections and removal of the vice president, and even removal of the judges of the Supreme Court and the High Court. So basically what happens is, only one thing is there, that the procedure for removal of vice president can only be started in Rajya Sabha, but apart from all the this thing, all the other thing can be done by both the houses. Okay, so that's a major difference. Now talking about the federal power, so basically it can authorize the union parliament. Yes, so Rajya Sabha has a federal power according to Article 249 of the Indian Constitution. So not according to Article 249, but in the seventh schedule of the Indian Constitution, there are three lists. Okay, one is union list, one is state list, and one is concurrent list. Okay, so these are the list in which subjects are mentioned. Okay, now what happens is that the in all those subjects, in the subject mentioned in the union list, only parliament can make law. In the matter of state list, only state legislature can make law, and in the matter of concurrent list, both state legislature and the parliament can make laws. But what happens if in case of national interest? Okay, if the Rajya Sabha passes a resolution in national interest stating that it is required by the parliament in national interest to make a law on the subject mentioned in the state list, then after passing that resolution by Rajya Sabha, it will authorize the parliament to make a law in the state list also. Are you getting the point? So the parliament, after this resolution is passed by the parliament, the by the Rajya Sabha, so the parliament can make law on the state list also. All right. So that's the thing. Moving ahead, special powers of Rajya Sabha. So there are certainly special powers of Rajya Sabha. So any proposal that affects the power of state must receive its approval. Okay, so that is also a very important thing. So whatsoever any kind of proposal is there that basically alters the division of power, that has to be approved by Rajya Sabha. If parliament wants to transfer a subject, so I just told you that if parliament wants to make a law related to any state list, okay, so if any matter is there in the state list and the parliament wants to make a law on that, so for that the Rajya Sabha is responsible and has the upper hand in that. Okay, so this is the thing. Now coming on to the next, any question as of now? Any
No,
question?
sir.
All right, all right, all right. So, what if the powers are exercised only by the Lok Sabha? So, there are certain powers that can only be exercised by Lok Sabha. So, for example, it is the only body, it is the only house that can actually approve the matters related to taxation, budget, or annual financial statement. Okay, so money related matters, money bill can be only introduced, and it also has upper power in related to those bills. Okay, now talking about this council of minister, now council of minister is responsible to Lok Sabha. What does that mean? That means that a council of minister to be formed and prime minister to be appointed, or in turn executive must to be selected. The party or the coalition must be enjoying majority, where majority in Lok Sabha. Okay, so the particular party or coalition if enjoys majority in Lok Sabha, then only they will form the government. Are you getting the point? So to form the government, that particular party or coalition will have to get the 50% plus one seats in Lok Sabha. Okay. So if they at any point of time they don't enjoy the that, or basically for example, now just taking one example, now let's say that a particular party, let's say X party, is having 270 seats in Lok Sabha, plus other parties, let's say A party and B party. It has one seat, it has one seat. Okay. They both combinedly has two seats. Now let's say this BJP combines with this, and now they have 272 seats in Lok Sabha. Hence, they will form the government. Now, the thing here is, in case at any point of time, these two parties withdraws from supporting the majority party, this council of minister, including prime minister, will fall. Getting the point? They will not remain there in case the majority party or coalition is does not basically, or in case there are certain devices. Okay, there are certain devices, like basically I would say there are certain motions. Okay, let's say when the, or I would say let's take an example of no confidence motion. Okay, let's say now this no confidence motion, if the speaker allows the no confidence motion, voting will happen. And if this motion does not gets more than 272 votes, na, the government will fall. So that means at all point of time, the government will have to show the confidence to the house, to the Lok Sabha. At any point of time, if they don't get that confidence or they don't shows that confidence, the government will fall. Okay, so co-equal power in passing all the non-money bills and passing the or in case of amending powers, impeachment powers of the president, or in case of the removal of the vice president, they both enjoys equal powers. Okay, so how does parliament make law? I just told you, the first there is a bill. The bill are of many types. So first is the government bill. A government bill is a bill that is introduced by any minister, council of minister. Private member bill is the bill that is presented in the parliament by a non-government member, a member who is a part of parliament but not a member of the cabinet or council of minister. Okay, there is ordinary bill which does not relate to the matters regarding money. There is money bill, and there is constitutional amendment bill. Okay, I will be today sharing this particular PDF with all of you wherever you get. So just tell me how many PDFs you have already received. I will note it down. Yes, tell me.
Sir, I asked only once, so I got only three. I'm yet to ask the
You
other one.
just got three.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Through email.
Now we'll share it. Okay. Just I will share it. ठीक है. So just have a read of it. Just read it. Okay. And you will you will be able to understand everything. Okay, because I have already just explained you this. After that we will be moving on to the next body. Okay, so that is there in this PDF only. Okay, so we will be continuing in the next class. All right, until
Okay,
then,
sir.
just
Should I email on to the same person?
yes, do mail it. They will
Oh,
ask
okay, sir.
me, I will send them. Okay,
Okay, sir.
all right, bye bye.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, welcome.